I became an actor, I never fantasized about playing James Bond. As a kid, yeah. But that was being James Bond, that was something else.
Welcome to Being James Bond, the longest-running James Bond podcast in the world.
The name is Bond. James Bond.
Denis Villeneuve is to direct the next James Bond film at Amazon. So reports Variety. That is the big news of the day. Everyone is losing their minds about this one. Finally, some actual news we can talk about, get excited about. Again, this is not just, hey, something is happening. This is a first hint, a first look at what we can expect from the next James Bond film. And I think, I love it. I just love it. I think this is great. And I really think this should calm a lot of people's concerns about what Amazon plans to do with the next film. I think a lot of the concerns, maybe I shouldn't jump ahead, but at the very least, I think a lot of people might have been concerned that because it's Amazon, because we're living in the world of streaming shows, etc., that they were really gonna sort of dull down James Bond to be something more akin to what you might find on Amazon Prime. But I think this clearly sends the signal that is not the way we're going, that we are absolutely going to do premier, top-notch cinema spectacle. I mean, this guy is a heavy hitter. So let me slow down and kind of backtrack a little bit. I love, so the quote in the film, Denis Villeneuve, and I know all of us are going to be back and forth for months, if not years, about the pronunciation of that name. I'll do my best. Denis Villeneuve will direct the next James Bond film, Amazon MGM Studios has revealed, with Tanya Lapointe signing on as an executive producer. As previously announced, Amy Pascal and David Heyman will serve as producers. And then it gets into a quote from Denis Villeneuve. Some of my earliest movie-going memories are connected to 007. I grew up watching James Bond films with my father ever since Dr. No with Sean Connery. I am a die-hard Bond fan. To me, he is sacred territory. Wow. I mean, that should really send the signal. I know everyone, when they get on board with a James Bond project, they fawn with how much, but I think this sounds pretty sincere to me. I think he's telling the truth with this. Villeneuve said, I intend to honor the tradition and open the path for many new missions to come. This is a massive responsibility, but also incredibly exciting for me and a huge honor. Amy, David, and I are absolutely thrilled to bring him back to the screen. Thank you to Amazon MGM Studios for their trust. I love it. I really do love this. So who is he? Who is Denis Villeneuve, and why should we or shouldn't we get excited about it? I think this is terrific. I think this guy... first off, I should say that I've been sort of following him, and actually I'm going to embarrass myself a little bit. I watched him very closely, and then I didn't. Not for any reason, just because, I'll get into it. But I first discovered Denis Villeneuve when he did Enemy back in 2013. Enemy was, I guess I want to call it a think piece. One of those that you really have to buckle up and pay attention to what's going on. I don't want to give anything away. It's a very cerebral, experimental sort of film, but I found it fascinating. And probably if you've seen that movie, it's got a very strange ending, and a lot of people sort of scratched their heads and almost said, "Was that worth the 2 hours?" Because that ending, I didn't get it, but I thought it was interesting. I thought it was really, really well done and interesting. So I enjoyed the hell out of it. The one I forgot that I saw, and I did see, was Prisoners. I saw that on the list that was sort of getting thrown around, and I was, oh wait, no, I did see that. And yeah, that was really, really good. Jake Gyllenhaal and Hugh Jackman are in that movie, and it's kind of it's a thriller, and boy, it's a little bit of a. It's one of those, like, it takes you down a dark road, and it makes you wonder, like, what would I do in this situation, etc. But it's really good stuff, and I really enjoyed the hell out of that one too. So where I kind of stopped. Oh, and then, by the way, I'm going to skip ahead a year or a couple. He did Arrival, which I also thought was terrific. That was a really, really good movie. Again, kind of a slow. I remember I was sort of reviewing films for Reviews Without Remorse at this time, and when this came out, I said, every single year there's like one really interesting sci-fi film that comes out. It's a really good, mind-bending, creative sci-fi, and that year it was Arrival. I thought it was really interesting and really well done. Also, Blade Runner 2049. Now, I really should watch this one again. I'm going to admit that I thought this was a little more thoughtful than I probably would have wanted, meaning it was kind of relying on it was a much more stoic sort of a think piece, akin to, like, if you've ever sat down and watched 2001: A Space Odyssey, because it's such a well-regarded sci-fi film. It reminds me of that a little bit, because again, I'm gonna quote another Bond influencer who just this morning said to me, he said to a few of us, it's better than Amiens. It'll put you right to sleep. And I kind of felt like, yeah, I get that. But I heard people raving about this film, and it really made me want to go back and give it another shot. So there's that. Now, where I sort of confess that I've kind of lost track of him, Sicario is an extremely well-regarded film, and I just never saw it. And I kind of purposely never saw it because I knew the subject matter, and what I had heard was that it's a very violent film. So you have to sort of brace yourself a little bit. So, and honestly, I'll confess, in my old age, I am getting a little squeamish about violence, particularly when it's like ultra realistic violence. Really kind of, I'm getting, like I said, I'm getting a little too old for that. So it made me a little squeamish to watch it. But again, everything I've heard about it was spectacular. So I think now I probably need to watch it. I probably need to break down and sit down with it. The other two that I have not gotten around to yet was Dune Part 1 and Part 2. And again, I've heard nothing but good things about these films. I mean, these things, by the way, when you sit and look at his IMDb rankings, I mean, these films, one is an 8, one is an 8.5. And that's tough. That's very difficult to score very high on these lists. All of his films are regarded very highly. Enemy probably is the one with the lowest that I'm looking at 6.9. Sicario 7.7, Arrival 7.9, Blade Runner 8.0, Dune Part 1 8.0, and Dune Part 2 8.5. I mean, it is really tough to get those kind of scores on an IMDb. So, yeah, I mean, so the words capable hands come to mind as I'm talking about Denis Villeneuve. The concern is going to be, okay, does that mean we're going to get now art house Bond? And it's funny how we take every announcement and we multiply it times 10 based on what we heard. I mean, or based on what we know. As soon as somebody said Amazon, everyone started to lose their mind and go, oh boy, so now we're going to get a streaming show. No, it doesn't mean that. I don't think it means that at all. Same here. So are we going to get an art house Bond film? I highly doubt it. I think that, again, he is a very smart, intelligent, and the word that comes to mind when I talk about this director is he's a storyteller. I feel that he is a very interesting communicator and storyteller, a visual storyteller, and again, I love, everyone who knows me knows that I'm a sucker for a really good-looking Bond film. Skyfall, No Time to Die, both of them probably jump ahead a good point or two just based on the visuals alone. So I'm a little bit of a sucker in that respect. So I think this director, again, I think he's a heavy hitter. I think he knows how to do big blockbuster style films, and I think that he's exactly the kind of person who can give us an exciting Bond film with that flavor that we so love. Again, I want a smoke-filled room. I want some whiskey. I want card tables, all that good stuff. I want someone who can pull that off, and I think this is the guy who can do that. I think if you sort of looked at all of his films and tried to, take them all, put them in a martini shaker, shake it all up, and then pour the cocktail, it would probably be something that's kind of really interesting. I think it really. Again, if you look at he does interesting sci-fi. He does stuff like Sicario, gritty kinds of films. Prisoners was a gritty film, almost too gritty for some people. Really thoughtful stuff. So I think he's going to put together something really wild, and I'm really kind of excited by this. So I'm happy. Again, he's probably somebody who comes out of left field a little bit for a lot of people. I think when people are talking about, potential Bond directors, they're thinking action directors. Personally, I want the action to come second. Again, I love the Mission Impossible films. They are fun to watch, but I do sort of agree that the action set pieces overshadow the story a little bit. Now, I want the action in a Bond film to be exciting. I want it to be really exciting, but I don't want it to overshadow the character of Bond, the stories that we're sort of dealing with, the stakes that are in play. So yeah, I think this director can do that. I think he can really deliver. So yeah, I guess that's kind of it. I mean, it's just going to be kind of a short reaction video, but that's kind of my thought on this. I think he is really going to knock it out of the park with this, or really has the potential to knock it out of the park. So I'm really excited by this. So what are your thoughts? I hope everyone is kind of feeling similarly. And boy, are we really getting into, we are now moving into that time when, the announcements about the next Bond films are coming. And, this is something we haven't felt in a long time. I mean, think about that. After Spectre, which was ages ago, we had our ears to the ground waiting for news about what was coming next. And we haven't had this in a while. So hearing about this new director to me is very exciting. I'm really jazzed about this, and I think the next year or two are going to be fun. A lot of fun, kind of waiting to hear what happens and getting the blood moving again. And, again, we're getting just really excited about what's coming up. This is a feeling I have not had in a while, and I'm really loving it. So I'm really excited for this. But I'm very interested to hear what everyone else is thinking. So what are your thoughts on this? Let's get the conversation going. This is your good buddy, Head of Section, and as always, guys, I will see you here very soon. In a very good mood, Head of Section is today. But I will see you very soon. Keep living like James Bond.